All right, we're live. Thank you, everybody. I want to start this off by saying it's out, and the experience has been fantastic, and all the support and all the people that have come from the show from Building Outside the Lines. Thank you. We truly appreciate it. Welcome you with open arms because we're going to keep building crazy cool things. Hopefully, we even get to build with Jared Cappy and Build Weird and that team because that was a lot of fun. I wanted to jump on one because our behind the scenes episode is officially live on YouTube. And I think you get some insight and a little bit extra time with us and Jared's team without the professional cameras and more GoPro, a little bit raw, a little bit more direct. And obviously, the episode focuses on that giant project, which there was so much going on. I don't know if you guys actually got to see that episode, but I hope you did. If not, please make sure to go and check it out because they had so much going on from the rooftop of their restaurant to the giant pool, landscaping, lighting, the beautiful, beautiful fence, and of course, our part, which was the rocks, which, from a rock builder, possibly the best part. What I really wanted to do was come on here and say thank you to Jared Cappy, his family and team. Special shout out to the chef. I don't know if you've seen the number of times where I mentioned that, but it was an incredible meal and quite an experience where Sean and I got to spend time with Cappy, Leah, and Thomas from Quick Spray. On a side note, where we didn't actually have cameras rolling, we just got to spend some time getting to know each other, actually relax a little bit, eat an incredible meal. And truly, the only thing I regret about that whole experience is I didn't actually get to spend any real time exploring the area and getting to know even the resort. We got to pass in and out, and we got to experience a restaurant, of course, which was amazing. But we didn't really get to see the area, and Shortgrass seemed like quite an exceptional spot. We did have a wonderful couple of nights dinner. Sean and I were so destroyed by the end of each day that there was not a lot of time to do anything but eat, pass out, wake up, start over again. So I really wanted to answer any questions that might come up, but more so kind of go through our own experience. So Sean and I had met Jared Cappy at the World of Concrete. And him and Brandon had stopped by the booth, and they got to actually see Sean and I were competing. We were competing, building. Hopefully, check out that video on our YouTube as well. But I was building the Sword in the Stone, little tip of the hat to my childhood, and Sean was building what was he building? Sean was building the tower from the show, or from the Disney movie Rapunzel. Thank you. And we both had a lot of fun. It was a ridiculously busy and jam-packed week in Vegas, and Cappy came by, and I think we immediately hit it off. We had a lot of fun talking, and we had no idea who he was. Embarrassingly enough, we don't get Magnolia Network up in Canada, so we were unaware of him and his team and what he has accomplished. At that point, they had just finished their second season and were planning on the third. And we did not know that he had such a crazy grand plan for this particular episode. I'm not sure if they had such a plan for this season finale or where we would even fit. I just think that the project evolved and became such a thing that maybe it made sense to put it all in on that finale. I will say we were treated so well and with such kindness by not just them, but the production company, helping us walk through the entire experience, making sure that we were comfortable on camera. And Sean and I talked about it a lot, like the idea that the last time we had a camera in our face was actually just a GoPro. And so to have 4 people filming from different directions, drones going, and all the rest was quite the difference. Thank you very much, Jens Fisher. I appreciate it. Rock and rolling for sure. So what we actually got to do was come in. We had a very, very specific time because I actually needed to head to Calgary and start the zoo project there. And Sean was already started the Buffalo Zoo project and had to jump back because he was managing that project from the start to finish. So it was very, very tight timing. And we even had to push it back. I'm trying to remember our original date, but I remember it just didn't line up. And we actually had to push back the start date of it. Yeah, because the original plan was that my wife and I were actually going to drive across country, and on our way to Alberta, we were going to stop by, spend the week there. We actually thought we were going to have a little bit more time in that sense of having 9 days to do it. That just didn't work out. Timing was off. I was finishing another project. It was so very tight. And even with all of that, we had to really rely on our teams. Like it got so crazy that as the transport truck was coming to pick up the armatures, I was still working on the armatures with Slater. So in the shop, I was literally welding. I had gotten the base done on all four, like the general shape and the mapping, thankfully, all the sizing. And then the truck was supposed to come at noon the next day. I thought I had plenty of time. Sorry, plenty of time is wrong. I thought I had enough time that I could actually get going and really have the majority of this piece. And the truck showed up at like 9 a.m. I said this later, our foreman, I said, you got to stall him. Like, there is no way that I can give this. This looks terrible. I haven't finished a single piece. So our foreman later actually jumped down, got the guy coffee, water, talked him up a bit, guided him into the property rather slowly, making sure that I gave enough time that I could finish the first piece. By the time he was loading the first piece, I was about three-quarters of the way done the second piece. And I pushed very, very hard. Just I was drenched, sweating, dirty all over the place. I think some of that made it into the behind the scenes video. I finished the second piece just in time where the guy was like, where are you? And what are you doing? And then by the time I got to the third piece, Slater may have intentionally couldn't fit it and had to work out some pieces and some logistics. Thankfully, that gave me enough time that I was able to finish the third, but there was no finishing the fourth. I got it barely finished. Like honestly, mostly just mapped. Not like when you look at most of our steel work, any of the rebar. First, we go do like an X and a Y and a Z to make sure that we know how to fill in everything, and then we lath it, fiber go, finish coat it. So I barely got that fourth piece mapped out, but we got it in the truck. Huge sigh of relief. And then we sent that off. And then we got a call that our concrete was not going to be available for the Monday. That was kind of like, oh, we're screwed. So we actually had to rush order, and thankfully we had enough material at our shop. But we actually rush ordered, got our material from the shop there. But if they got held up at the border, if they had a flat tire, if the guy took too long of a nap, the material would not have been there in time. So they got the armatures, and thankfully somehow we pulled it off. Scott was on the phone the entire time with the shipping company, making sure that we actually could get our material there on time, and on top of coordinating with all the material orders, but we were also coordinating with Cappy and his team and with Quick Spray because they were practically on standby to get their equipment to us so that we could actually finish that. I believe Cappy and his team finished their pad a week before we got there, so also just in time because they were working on like one thing I don't think they explain is that they're working on all projects all the time because they have to finish their entire season in like 4 months. Plus, they're a legitimate building company, so they also have other real projects going on outside of the show itself. And so while we were preparing, got the material, got I think it came on Sunday, and we arrived on the Sunday night, like midnight, local time. We got to our Airbnb, which was arranged by Cappy and his team. Actually, I'm pretty sure they owned this spot because I'm pretty sure I saw some of the finishes in one of their shows. Quite beautiful spot. All these cages with beautiful stonework and beautiful suites that had like kitchenette, bathroom, and that. And that was right downtown Shortgrass. So that was really fun to actually be experienced. Sean and I were able to get our rest, our privacy, and I know the production team also got to stay there too. So that was fun. See them randomly. Now the next day, we really had no idea what to expect. Sean and I have Sean actually little known fact, but Sean actually was in the movie business for a very short period of time. When he was younger, he actually went to school to become a actor and stand-up comedian. We're talking 20 plus years ago, but that was a passion of his. I think he got to be an extra in the X-Men movies. You'll have to ask him one day. I'm almost positive. I was pretty young at that point. But obviously that wasn't the passion that he continued, but there was always this thought of maybe he got to be a little bit more used to being around cameras. We're used to GoPros. That's about it. GoPros, sometimes our own phones, or our videographer, Robert, will once in a while stick his camera in our faces. And so we had a little bit of practice, which helped, but we weren't talking about organized fun or organized filming. That was way next level. So what we got to do was when we got there, they gave us kind of a rundown. Hey, Zelda Pole Bears, great to see you. Appreciate you jumping on. What we actually got to see was their whole team, and I want to say there was more than a dozen people there, from production, producer, film, all the specialists, sound. And the first thing that we got was a coffee in hand. That honestly set us in ease, because truly, we weren't nervous, but we weren't nervous about the filming. What we were nervous about was the scale of the project, and we didn't know how much help we would get, or if we would get any help, because that was the difficult part. And also, we were working in a completely new country, let alone new state. We were working with materials we had never had, and we didn't have any of our tools with us. All we had was our steel toe. So we got there, we did the introduction meeting, and then they said, okay, we have a lot to set up. You guys need to go off site, essentially. So we went, we talked, we hid for like 4 hours. We did our emails. We were baking in the sun, and the whole time the clock is ticking. That was the most terrifying part, because already we're like, there is literally nothing that can go wrong and us finish in time. So it was a very, very tight timeline. And then, of course, it did. So 4 hours in, and they're like, okay, we'll get a shot in, and then we're breaking for lunch. And I think we did our introduction shot, which I don't believe we did get to see that in the episode, which was fun. And then that kind of set the tone for the entire thing. The very beginning, it's not very exciting to see lath go in, or like the sheer monotony of that part. That's difficult. So I think they showed a single shot of that, and they showed us set the armatures in, which kind of set the stage for the teamwork that we were expecting. Once we did that, then they moved on. The whole production team had more shots to do for more episodes. So we were kind of left in peace. And honestly, thank goodness, because we were able to really hustle, and we had spider lath for the first time. I was quite aware of the product. I've seen it at the World of Concrete. I've seen other people use it, but I had never touched it myself. And the one really good part about steel lath, not the millions of cuts that it will give you, but the way that it retains the shape is really important part of our process. So, and we're just used to it. But there's a limit to how much you can actually tie per person on this scale, and it's usually like 10 to 12 sheets per day. And then by that point, you're pretty much out. So we started with the spider lath, which comes in these huge rolls. It's very flexible. It's a little bit flimsy. It's probably really good for flat vertical work. And it has a spacer on it too. Excuse me, which gives it like kind of takes it away or makes it a little bit more rigid. And thank goodness it did. Now, tying it with wire still would have been way too slow. So thankfully, Cappy has a ridiculous number of tools as a builder. And so he got a hog tie gun and he got a rebar tying gun, which we tried both of them. The rebar tying gun kind of worked, but it kept missing. Like it's a very, very small hole on this lath. So you only have a tiny, tiny way of getting it. Not everything lines up. So really, we were able to tie the edges with that fairly well. And at that point, it stopped working. So then we tried the hog tie gun. And no offense, Cappy, but your hog tie gun wasn't new in the 50s. So that sucker kept breaking down and had some trouble keeping up. Thankfully, it was enough to get us through and keep us going. But the idea or the fact that we actually finished that was almost mind-blowing. But we powered through, and Ren came and helped for that, and Dustin came and helped for that. Cappy came and helped for that, and Sprout came and helped for that, which was really, honestly, the only reason why we were able to get lath done on that first day. We knew we had no choice. Next day, we had to spray fiber coat. Otherwise, there was just no way that we can get it done. That would have been the saddest episode of all time, where maybe one boulder was finished. So we worked relatively late that day. And then we got ourselves settled in. Topo Chico, now that we're in the States, the best thing ever. Anyways, while we were, first night, we were all excited. We went back the next day early, 7 o'clock. We started unloading all the quick spray stuff. And Thomas and Leah came on in. And thank goodness they did, because we had never used quick spray equipment. And although it's very intuitive and very simple to use, we just could not lose any time. And so Sean and I had to kind of divvy up, because both of us are used to running a project without the other. So you're talking 2 white hats or too many cooks in the kitchen. Sean and I are very good at setting aside ego and making sure that the project's just done. So there was that. That part went fairly well. But then once Quick Spray got in and got started, that's when the cameras came back and we had to take a step back. And that part was a little bit more difficult. They needed to get some setup shots, needed to get conversations going. They needed to make sure that everybody was on the same page. Safety was a big part of it. Obviously, when you're shooting concrete and you got very expensive cameras all over the place, and people that aren't used to concrete shooting around, you need to be very careful. So that part was slowed us down probably by 2.5 hours. And I'm pretty sure Cappy went to production and was like, hey, we don't have a choice. We need to absolutely get rolling as quickly as possible. Rocking and rolling, our favorite puns. So we got spraying, and then the worst possible thing that could happen did happen. And that was we dry mixed and sheared the shaft of the quick spray mixer. Thomas worked pretty hard, but we didn't have that spare motor. The pump was still in good shape and ready to go. So we did, thankfully Cappy had this ginormous attachment for his skid steer. And I think that did 12 bags at a time. And that might have actually saved us, because although the quick spray unit is incredible, it's still 3 or 4 bags at a time tops. And so there's just a capacity issue on that. We had so much. We had to do 3 pallets of fiber coat in that day. So we did not That would have been a very long day. It was a pretty darn long day, no matter what. We're climbing all over, and the spider lath worked fairly well, but we figured out pretty quickly that it wasn't stiff enough that you could build up very quickly. So I'd have to do a light spray over it, spray back over it, build up over 2 or 3 layers before we got the thickness that we needed. And then at the end of that day, we just all like sat, beers came out, and we sat on the rock for like 10 minutes. And then a huge thunderstorm rolled in. And it was quite beautiful coming over the Black Hills. Where we're like, oh, I hope that misses us. It did not. So we got drenched, and it happened in like a second. It was just like a nice sprinkle. All of us were like, oh, that feels nice. And then all of a sudden it just unleashed. So we had to run, and we had to run fast, and we still got absolutely drenched. But it kind of washed the day and gave us a reason to like reset both minds and bodies. And we went back home. We passed out. Started the next day, and the whole area was a giant puddle. So Ren and myself and Sean and Dusty, we all started like creating random pallets and bridges and all the rest. And by the time that the camera crew got there, we were set up and ready to go. Thomas and Leah were already there and already getting the mixer and the sprayer ready. And we had to shoot the entire, like we had no time. So we actually had to shoot the entire first boulder without cameras rolling. I had my GoPro, but unfortunately I lost that on the plane. So that was quite a bummer. We lost a lot of footage because of that. And I absolutely regret not hooking it up to upload the footage each night at the Airbnb. Such a bad move. Amateur move. The footage is more important than the actual GoPro. But what we ended up doing was we shot the whole first, and that exactly that was literally my face the moment I got off the plane. And so what we ended up doing was we shot that whole first boulder, we carved it, and I think we did that by noon. And then the production team came, reset, and we were able to actually start shooting the second boulder. And that's when things slowed down a little bit more. And we had to go into explanation mode, getting the different angles, making sure everybody's safe again, making sure that everything lined up. And honestly, the slowdown was kind of nice because even though you have this clock ticking, knowing that you need to finish something, one of the best ways to master a skill, I find, is when you have to explain it to somebody that has no idea what you're talking about. And so getting to go step by step allowed us to like take a breath and honestly put our best foot forward and make sure that the work was quality rather than worrying about a timeline. So we worked pretty deep into the night on that one, finished just in time, actually had to put base color on that first boulder even when it was setting. And then we covered everything up. Next morning, start filming. This was the day that we were literally leaving. So all the pressure, and we were so worried about not finishing to the point where we didn't finish. We kind of knew that this would be a thing, but you don't really paint fresh concrete within the first 7-8 days because it absorbs so much moisture that the stain and the concrete itself will actually lighten up. So we got it to a base. We worked with Ren and Cappy quite a bit on making sure that everybody knew the tones that we were going for. We got all the colors. She literally had to drive all the way to the city in order to get those colors. We got all the base colors in, and then we literally had to say goodbye. And we had no time really to say goodbye. Raced to the airport, thankfully. Got there just in time and headed home, and just a giant collective sigh of relief. But we've never left a project where somebody else had to finish it, so that was a little bit terrifying. But Ren is a pretty exceptional artist on her own. And she sent some updates and showed just how well she did. on the painting, and so like really came together. And then a few months later, we got images of it at night, and good lord, does that thing look amazing at night! And then, frankly, because of how busy we've been, I had to kind of forget about it for a good long time until about 3 weeks ago, when we were told that that they had been nominated for Emmys, that the episode was coming out, that it was season finale, and we got really excited again. I'm not gonna lie, it felt pretty cool to see how the edit came out, how much time they were able to invest in showing how to build rocks when so many other amazing projects were going on. That was a lot of fun. The whole experience was incredible. If they asked us to go back, we would try and make it work because we had a lot of fun with the team and the people. Cappy and his family were so welcoming. It would be very hard to say no. Plus, they built cool things. Anyways, thank you guys very much for jumping on this live with me. I am going to go. Thank you. Talk to you soon.